Don't start my timer. He's from St. Louis. He's a Cardinal fan like me. Bob, I have embroidered Mark McGwire 70 home run single season record T-shirts. $39. Do you have any? Do you wear them?
They'd be too big for me.
I got to give mine away. It kills me that he had to be on anabolic steroids, but that's another story. The reason I'm here tonight is that I've talked to a lot of these athletes. I've spent the last, I guess since I first talked to Rich Pound, almost 6 weeks talking to athletes and trainers, and they all say the same thing. Don't use my name. Don't use my name. So I'll avoid the names, but there are a couple things we need to know. Number one, the rules of the game say that steroids, and for good reason, performance-enhancing drugs are absolutely illegal. Cheating is cheating, and you can't change it. You can do it any way you want with any documentary, but you can't change it. Steroids, however, you have to know this. They will make you faster, they will make you stronger, and they may help you look and feel and be younger. That's a lot of attraction. Steroids will make you wealthy. Steroids will make you famous. Steroids will help you get success, and if you don't believe it, look at some of the guys that hold the records. During the course of my preparation, I talked to a Hall of Famer. I said, let me ask you something. I said, with the steroids you didn't have when you were playing, what if there were steroids now? And he said, if it got me back on the field, regardless of the penalty, I'd do it. I thought, man, a Hall of Famer, you want to play? He said, you don't know what it's like not to be able to excel at the game anymore. He said, steroids are the greatest attraction. It's like walking on the beach with no one around you and a beautiful girl. You know what's going to happen. Well, I had to tell my wife I can't talk about that one. However, even though there is no clinical proof, let me repeat, there is no clinical proof that steroids directly lead to death, there are certain guys who have suffered something. Now, Lyle Alzado was mentioned. Lyle Alzado is not a name to me. I knew him, I interviewed him, I liked him. Thought he was crazy, but that's why we got along. Lyle Alzado, this is what's not commonly discussed. When he was a freshman in college, weighed 190 pounds. When he graduated as a senior and he started steroids in 1969 as a freshman, when he graduated, it was 300-pound muscle mass. That's a gain of 110 pounds, and you knew he was going big in the NFL draft. Went on to become the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 1977. A couple of weeks before he died, he said, damn, if I'd never done steroids and human growth hormone, I wouldn't be dying today. He died at the age of 43. 43 years old. Ken Caminiti. He's a third baseman for the Padres. It's spring of 1996. He's chasing a fly ball. He goes out. He dives. He tears his rotator cuff. Ken Caminiti was a good guy, a tough guy, a bull of a guy. He said, I got to get well. So he played even though he was in great pain. He said, Ken, go down to Tijuana, get you some anabolic steroids. You'll be back on the field better than ever. So he did. In the year 1996, when he got hooked on steroids and didn't just do cycles, but did double cycles, so don't tell me we're going to monitor it. Ain't nobody going to monitor it. He used so much steroids that he became a giant of a man. He was bulging. Ken Caminiti went from hitting 282 to hitting 330. He went from 23 home runs to 40 home runs. He had 130 RBIs. He made millions in a free agent contract, and he was absolutely hooked. He said, the more I used, the more I had to use, because if I didn't use, I felt like I was going on the field naked. Nobody wants to walk out on the field naked, but that's how he felt. As he said, I was hooked. He was the MVP of baseball in 1996. 8 years later, he was dead at the age of 40. But there's no clinical proof that steroids led to his death, even though he was an anabolic steroid type free. If any of you are Yankee fans, think back to 1999. The Yankees win the World Series. They have a relief pitcher you may or may not have heard of named Don Nolte. You ever heard of him, Bob?
Yes.
Don Nolte pitched for the Twins, then became with the Yankees. Now follow this. In 1992, Don Nolte was 6'8". He's a strapping right-hander. He weighs only 165 pounds. Guy said to him, Don, you got to get on some steroids, man. You put some body on you. So he did. In 1999, he was with the Yankees. He weighed 245 pounds. That's a weight gain of 60 pounds. And it was all muscle. Unfortunately, he described himself as being suicidal. He said, I was absolutely nutso. Now, he didn't die. He survived. But he had to have major surgery because his veins were clotted against his arteries. He had to have major surgery because he tore the muscle right off, the muscle in the groin completely off the bone. Dr. James Andrews, a man I consider to be one of the foremost, absolutely best surgeons of all. He said, he's a noted orthopedic surgeon. He said that, now check this out, that in 2002, 17% of total baseball payroll went to guys who were on the injured list with muscle tears, muscle strains, ruptured Achilles tendon, and on goes the list. He said that we have had a 200% increase in just the 5 years prior to 2002. Baseball owners paid $370 million to players who were not able to play. Most of them, according to Dr. Andrews, were related to their use of anabolic steroids. And you now want to legalize it and govern it? No definitive clinical proof, though, that it was a result of steroids. No proof. I'm probably the only guy in the room who is friends with professional wrestlers. I started in 1980 with Bob Backlund. I've emceed a lot of their events. I've enjoyed them. I love them. Guys that are just names to you like Hulk Hogan, Ricky Steamboat, Nature Boy, Ric Flair. These are all friends of mine. I wanted to call and check with some of the wrestlers I used to know how they're doing today. How did they recover after the use of steroids? I went to call them, and you know what I found? Of the wrestlers who were professional stars, 40 were dead by the age of 40. 70 were dead by the age of 50. But there's no clinical proof that they died of steroid abuse, even though they all use steroids. Here's the bottom line. I am not willing to pay the price for legalizing steroids and performance-enhancing drugs because I've seen too often what it can do. I don't want to go to the cemetery and tell all the athletes who are dead there, hey guys, soon you'll have a lot more of your friends coming because we're going to legalize this stuff. The only good news out of it, they wouldn't hear the news because they're all dead. Thank you.